Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday morning Joe and Joe Weather Show, which has been on Sunday evenings the last couple of weeks, but we're back to a morning schedule. The Joe and Joe Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. They're not only ready for spring, but they've got mulch and lots of mulch because they make it there so they never run out. So get your truck down there to 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. The telephone number is 631-756-1125. And in these times, I don't know if any of you have been to a garden store lately, but prices have gone up considerably. Omni has the lowest prices on Long Island at 631-756-1125, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. So I had, Joe, a couple of interesting things happened yesterday. So we
Yes.
had heavy rain here and some wind. I didn't have any thunderstorms, but it did rain heavily into the afternoon. And then the rain stopped, so I thought it was a good idea to take the dog out to the dog park and get him walked because my dog, being half Australian Shepherd and half something else, requires a lot of walking to get his energy out. And we stumbled upon, or he did anyway, he stumbled upon a baby robin that had fallen out of its nest. It looks like
Uh-oh.
it is about 3/4 grown, but he didn't do anything to it. He just kind of laid there. He put his nose next to it and he just stood very still with it. And so, because I talked to my dog, I said, why don't we walk around another mile and we'll come back. And if the bird is still there, we'll figure something out. And because I'm always hesitant at first to do anything. So we went back around and I couldn't find it, but sure enough he did. And he did the same thing. He just kind of laid there, just kind of, watching him and almost like standing guard in front of it. So we brought him home. And I took some of my dog's chicken kibble and put it in water to get it nice and soft and tearing shreds apart and started feeding it with a tweezer. And because I've done this actually, I did this once before with a baby chick that was maybe a day or two old that had fallen out of the nest
Right.
onto the roadway. Anyhow, the bird woke me up for a 3 a.m. feeding. I haven't had to do one of those in a long, long time, and now it's loving it. Ate like crazy this morning. He's outside on the screened-in porch in a box, and he's flapping its wings. So I'm thinking in another couple of days he'll probably be ready to go. So that I guess is um, my good nature deed for the day or for the week.
This almost sounds like the episode of the Andy Griffith Show where Opie kills the mother bird accidentally with a slingshot, and now there are three baby birds which he has to nurse for
Yes.
the next few weeks or whatever. He puts in a bird cage or whatever. And the name of the birds, by the way, Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod.
Yeah. And by the
And
way, I
it
didn't.
was tough. And it was
Yeah, the parents
he
were
didn't name him.
no, the parents were in the nearby tree, but yeah, that's squirrel country where I walk him. That bird would have been a squirrel's lunch before too long. So if I'd have left it,
Right.
it would have been done for. But today, this morning, when I took JJ out for his walk, and we went by the same place, the nest was on the whole nest had fallen onto the ground. Now there were no other birds in there. I didn't see any other casualties. So I'm thinking that maybe this bird was the last one to fledge and was still in the nest, while the other two might have been a day or two older. So I brought the nest home, and I put the nest in the box, and the bird immediately jumped back into the nest. So that was kind of cool to see.
Right.
So anyway, that's my like I said
Well, that's nice.
that's my good deed for I pay attention to nature.
What you should do now is you should bring the bird on the show, like Bob Ross, the PBS artist, adopted a squirrel and used to bring a little squirrel that
Yes.
used to fit in his pocket, and he called it Peapod, the pocket squirrel. And it got to be like every so often he'd bring Peapod out. So what you should do is you should bring the baby robin on, and we should all get attached to it.
No,
And
no, because
by the way,
I was thinking of maybe bringing the box in here and just showing everybody, but you know what? It's at peace outside and it's chirping away because it hears all the other birds out in the forest. So I don't want to take a chance and traumatize it. So it's fine. By the way, I also want to tell you really quick. You're going to love this. So if you there's a television channel called Pluto. Okay,
yes,
and
I've heard of it.
all right, so because you mentioned Bob Ross, each show has its own channel. So they have a Bob Ross channel, and they run Bob. Every episode is a Bob Ross episode. Every, however it is, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, or however long it is,
Wow.
nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So however many thousands of episodes the man did, you can watch them from start to finish. Because I'm watching the Dark Shadows channel and every half hour it's and you could start at any point and jump around, but they have a whole bunch of. I think the Andy Griffith Show is on there. I saw the Beverly Hillbillies, and then there's a lot of shows that I for the life of me never heard of from back in the 60s and 50s. So it's a fun channel if you have not taken a look at that. Okay, it's a relax.
Bob Ross had
Go ahead.
Bob Ross had 31 seasons of Bob Ross, each composed of 13 episodes. So 31 times 13. So there are
400.
403 Bob Rosses. So there you go. Actually, here in New York, Channel 21 WLIW has 2 extra cable channels. One of them is called Create, channel 133 on Optimum. And there's the Fine Arts channel at 144. And if you have trouble sleeping on a weekend night, on a Saturday night, tune in to channel 144, and they have the Bob Ross Marathon starting at the stroke of midnight and running all the way to 5 a.m. They run 8 consecutive episodes of Bob Ross. Now, if that doesn't put you to sleep within minutes, I don't know what will. Just like that channel on Pluto.
Pluto.
And you're lucky. You're lucky because you could turn on Pluto. If you have trouble falling asleep any night, you can watch Bob Ross and go right to sleep. Here in New York, you have to wait until Saturday night to fall asleep with Bob Ross. So.
Bill Rogers, Pluto is an app. So if you have an iPhone or you have an iPad or I have an Amazon Fire tablet, you can just download the app, that app to your tablet and watch it anywhere, anytime, because they stream all day long. I don't know if you can do it on your. I'm sure you probably could. There's a way that you could probably do it on your laptop too. So you could do it.
I have one last before we proceed to the weather. I have one last thing to say.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, of course, my favorite show on television is CBS Sunday Morning, which runs from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Sundays. And it's a great show. It's hosted by Jane Pauley. And in the middle of the show, they have a short segment called Passings, where the people who have passed on or who have died over the past week, and they do like a short tribute, a little bit of a musical background, but you see the picture of the person who's passed and what they did and what their lifespan was. And of course, they led off with Walter Mondale, who was probably the most noteworthy this week, former vice president, former candidate for president. And you say to yourself, what if he had become president? It would have been a lot more than just simply a short mention on passings on Sunday morning.
Right.
So here's like 5 or 7 seconds of Walter Mondale, followed by the other people who passed. There were several rap artists who passed. There was one stripper, for goodness sake. I forget the names of whoever it is. But they finished off with Felix Celia, 86. And do you know who Felix Celia was, Joe? Felix Celia was cousin It on the Addams Family. And I said to myself, I looked up to the sky and I said, Walter Mondale, you would have thought that you would have had you had a great life. You would have thought you would have had a good ending to all of this. And here you are, you end up in the same list.
Right, you're getting equal billing with cousin It.
with rap stars, a stripper, and at the end, cousin It from the Addams Family. There you go.
Quite a combination of folks, I imagine. Yeah, I mean that's quite
Indeed.
that's definitely a diverse mix of
Yes.
people and their accomplishments. All right, so we've got a gloom and doom start to things weather-wise in the Northeast, and this weather system was a severe weather producer across the South and Southeast yesterday, and that is now that part of it is now moved out to the offshore, and you're still the rain is going to should start pulling out soon. It already has to the south and west of New York City for the most part, and it should start to pull away to the northeast. And if you notice on the satellite, Joe, everything's moving from west to east, so that's actually pretty good. This system's going to get out of the way, and we are going to get into some nice weather in the northeast and mid-Atlantic states, and actually even down the coast to the southeast. In my neck of the woods, which is a beautiful day here, by the way, today, uh, we're going to see nice spring weather, and we're going to also see some. I think we're going to get into the low and mid 80s here on Wednesday with the west wind and plenty of sun. I don't know what stops it.
Well, speaking of, I know you're talking about we're going to get into the low to mid 80s. You're talking about where you are or where
No, I
we are
think
up
no,
here?
no. I think up, from northeast Virginia to southern New England, should make it to 80 or better. I think on Wednesday.
I agree. Absolutely, I
The,
agree. We've been saying that since last week, and looks like Wednesday and Thursday are going to be the two days where we're going to reach two or above 80, and I think we'll drop back to finish out the week on Friday back into the cooler, quote unquote, cooler 70s. But still looks like some really nice weather coming for this upcoming week. And much of the week should be dry.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm just looking at the watches and warnings map across the U.S. We've got a lot of areas in the Southwest and into, say, the western portion of the Southern Plains under red flag warnings here because of bone dry conditions. There are some scatterings of winter weather advisories in parts of northern Utah, western Wyoming, central Montana, also in northeastern California, up the Sierra Nevadas, where we have a slew of winter storm warnings up in those mountains, and advisories that extend up further north into parts of southern Oregon. So with the trough in the west, it's still some remnants of wintertime are going to be going on during the last week of April and heading into the beginning of May. In the east, though, you can see it's pretty quiet. In spite of the system that's here in the east, there are no warnings out. Here's the radar. Just going to give it a quick refresh from a couple of hours ago when the back edge was still in southern New Jersey. But now it looks like the back edge is just at about to New York City. I'll wait for the loop to confirm. And
Well, we're up here. We're done.
yeah, no,
We're pretty much.
yeah, the back edge is actually east of there. I'm sorry, I just had to wait for the loop to start. Looks like it's over eastern Long Island and central and eastern Connecticut. Everybody else south and west of there is now done. So there are going to be some leftover clouds around, but I think there's some room for improvement here as we go through the afternoon. Very slowly, but I think there's some room.
Yes, there may be a stray or renegade leftover shower. There's actually kind of I don't know if you would call it a front or a trough that will be moving on by toward the end of the day here today, which might be the catalyst for one more, brief shower. But other than that, it looks like for the rest of the day, we're pretty well home free. And we should see some intervals or breaks of sun for later on in the day today. And that should lead us into some again, nice weather for this upcoming week. And this is the last week of April, Joe. May begins next Saturday, believe it or not.
May always was one of my, I wouldn't call it my favorite month, but it's in my top. Let's say it's in my top three. Um,
And do you know, of course, what's going to happen on the first Saturday of May?
well, yes, it's the 100 and I forgot what number it is now. Run 130 something, I think, running of the Kentucky Derby. for 3-year-olds.
Now, are they going to run it next Saturday? Because everything was thrown out of kilter in terms of the schedule
No, it's back to it's
last year.
they're back to their regular schedule.
Okay, all right.
Although
So
I
as we
understand.
get toward the
No, I understand that.
as we get toward the end, as we get to the end of the week, we'll be asking for your picks.
To be quite honest, I have paid very little attention in the last couple of years in terms of the horses in the race. Although I will tell you that Bourbonic, who was the winner of the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct, that had to be one of the worst uh, run Wood Memorials ever in terms of the quality of horses. So I don't know that I would bet. I'm not going to bet on him with your money. Let's put it that way. I mean,
All right.
he came in as the winner, a 72 to 1 shot. So I think he paid $146 to win in the Wood, and that race was I think it was the slowest time ever for uh, 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 that the Wood was running. So that kind of race time is not going to fly in the Derby. Anyway, that's just my little old never to be humble opinion. In the meantime, on the radar, seeing some showers and even a couple of thunderstorms moving out of South Dakota and into parts of Minnesota and Iowa. You're seeing precipitation out in the west, up and down California, in fact, and into central Nevada, northern Utah, southern Idaho, and a little bit of showery action in the Pacific Northwest. The Storm Prediction Center is still, let me make sure I got the right one here. Okay, so we got to go backwards because now what was day 6 last week, if you recall, um, SPC having risk area in their day 6 forecast is now in day 3. For the rest of today, there's no severe weather risk at all being indicated anywhere in the United States. Just a couple of 3 or 4 areas of general thunderstorms. So we're good with that. And the Storm Prediction Center for Monday is showing no severe weather forecast. Some general thunderstorms in the western lakes and also in parts of Idaho down into northern Utah, northwestern Colorado. And on day 3, which is now the old day 6, this is for Tuesday into Wednesday, we have a marginal and slight risk in western Texas, western Oklahoma, and southern Kansas. So we'll see how this plays out. And the long range on from SPC on days 4 through 8, I believe it has predictability too low on each day. So there's 6, 7, 8. So predictability too low, as you know, means there'll probably be some severe weather. We just haven't figured out exactly the magnitude and the location. The rainfall the next 7 days, concentrated in the southern plains and in the middle Mississippi Valley, with several inches of rain being indicated there, pushing up into Ohio and western Pennsylvania, western Virginia on the order of 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half. Looks like a quarter to a half. Some of this is left over from what's going on today. So let's just say a quarter to a half an inch. And this will probably come, I'm thinking late this week, Joe, maybe late Thursday, we get a cold front with some showers and thunderstorms late in the day, Thursday into Thursday night.
Yeah, that might be the one clinker this week. And who's to say, Joe? I mean, with the temperatures so high that perhaps if we do see a few thunderstorms pop, that they might be maybe not necessarily full-fledged severe storms, but some pretty good downpours and maybe some pretty good lightning flashes and rumbles of thunder with that. We'll see. That's again late Thursday or Thursday night with that next possible threat.
All right, so I'm going to well, we still have the old GFS. Okay. So I'm just going to preload this. And while it's preloading, I want to just jump to the high temperatures for the next couple of days for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. So it looks like for tomorrow, as the map loads, looks like low to mid 60s tomorrow. I think there'll probably be a bit of a wind tonight into tomorrow. Nothing no advisory criteria, but it'll be a bit on the breezy side. And we should more than likely see a fair amount of sunshine. And then we'll start to warm it up a little bit as we move into Tuesday. And the temperatures, I think, will at least go up by about 10 degrees. So we should make it up into the low and middle 70s, and southern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, down into Virginia, there looking like upper 70s and lower 80s. In fact, I'm just going to kind of sneak a peek. Let's see if I can get it down to where I am. But 80s in North Carolina, 80s in South Carolina. And yeah, I might be close to, looks like for me, because I'm in that northeastern corner of Georgia. So there's still that 78 that you see is Blairsville, which is where I am. So that looks pretty good for me. Let's look at Wednesday, and then I'll swing back in the other direction. So Wednesday looks like low to mid 80s from Georgia on up through North Carolina, through Virginia, Washington 87, Joe, 85 in Baltimore, Philadelphia 88. 84 now is the forecast on the digital forecast for New York City, 85 for White Plains, and also getting up into the middle and upper 70s across much of central New England. Long Island getting to the mid and upper 70s in central Long Island, mid 60s eastern Long Island, and upper 70s and low 80s to the west, up and down New Jersey coast. Most temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Could we have a little upside here? What do you think?
The only thing that concerns me about these high temperatures is the fact that there's always that possibility, and Thursday is one example of getting backdoored. You think right now from this vantage point that we should be free and easy going well into the 80s, and we'll have westerly winds certainly on Wednesday. But look at some of the long range maps. There might just be a backdoor coming through sometime during the day on Thursday, and that may actually lower the temperatures, put us in a northeasterly or northerly airflow, and keep temperatures down, maybe down in the 70s. Dare I say, if this is an even stronger high pressure zone that builds over the Maritimes of Canada, that it may even get only into the 60s on Thursday. What do you think about
Yeah,
that possibility?
I agree with you that there is going to be some sort of frontal boundary that sets up, and in fact, the temperature forecasts on the digital forecast are lower. From New York City north and east, they're mostly upper 60s and lower 70s, and then you start getting into the middle 60s and lower 60s as you go further up into New England. They're still holding on to some lower 80s for southern New Jersey, down into the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. But even there, you see the temperatures scaled back a bit. So I think I agree with you on the concept of the back door. And also you're going to have a whole front that's going to be dropping down for Thursday night. So yeah, I think it's certainly something from the standpoint of temperatures we're going to have to pay attention to, because it could impact. If the back door is a little weaker, then we could see low to mid 80s again for the second day in a row. But it's hard this time of year not to get a back door to come down. When we say a backdoor cold front, folks, we're talking about something that forms up to our northeast and kind of drops back to the south or southwest and creates an onshore flow. Always a danger. Usually right into the first part of June. That's always a danger.
And we're talking about the possibility of showers and storms for later Thursday with the more classical path for a cold front, which would be sweeping in from the Midwest. But one has to wonder also, Joe, if we do get the back door, that would be like late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. And if indeed we warm into the 80s, which no doubt we will on Wednesday, whether or not the back door Wednesday night or early Thursday might generate a couple of showers or maybe even an isolated boomer. So that again is the wild card or the unknown factor that we'll be watching as we move toward the middle part of this upcoming week.
By the way, one other thing to throw into this along the same line. So I got the GFS up, and of course you see how the low pulls away very quickly to the northeast. Gradients, tightish, but nothing to write home about. Meanwhile, in the west, you've got low pressure in Wyoming and some snow in parts of Idaho and Nevada. pushing eastward, a little more snow in Colorado as we get into Tuesday. You start to see the severe weather potential for the severe weather outbreak with thunderstorms in Texas, Oklahoma, and into Kansas, like SPC was indicating. Meanwhile, here, by the time we get to Wednesday, high off the South Carolina coast, westerly isobars. The westerly isobars are going to really keep the sea breeze away, except right on the immediate beach. So I don't think there's any doubt about Wednesday. But yeah, you've got a problem on Thursday with this frontal boundary that tries to set up to the north and drop southward. Now, what happens if that frontal boundary doesn't drop southward, and then you're just dealing with the cold front that's approaching for late Thursday and Thursday night, and you see it here. I'm wondering whether if we wind up seeing westerly winds and temperatures into the 80s on Thursday because there's no backdoor, whether that we could
Right.
generate that we might have a risk here for maybe a marginal risk for severe weather going into Thursday night. I know it's a long ways off, but I just kind of throw it out there. If you don't get backdoored, you're going to get some good daytime heating. So if the dew points can cooperate, you might wind up with a couple of hefty thunderstorms out of this.
I would not doubt it. But then that all hinges on westerly winds, and that westerly wind flow is going to hinge on whether or not we see a backdoor Wednesday night or Thursday morning come down and change our winds from west southwest to north northeast, which would then hinge upon temperatures, which would mean that instead of 80s, we might be talking about 70s or even 60s on Thursday, which means that when the uh, cold front from the west comes rolling through, all we would just see are just a few showers as opposed to the potential for some violent weather. But again, that's what we're talking about, something that's like 3 to 4 days off. And that to me is, again, in terms of long range forecasting, that's the limit. I know you go and you watch on your TV screens 7 day, and in a couple of cases here in the New York market, there are even 10-day forecasts. And you know what you could do with the 10-day forecast, Joe? You could probably use it to line the little bird box that you have for the little robin that you have on your porch right now.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the upsides, by the way, that the GFS was not showing, the European was showing this, and it seems like the GFS has kind of jumped on board, is that this low that moves across the northern lakes and in northern New England lake this week strengthens a little bit as it moves eastward. So the front moves through and keeps on going, in which case next weekend may not be too bad, although there's something upstream that drops southeastward Sunday morning with some showers. We'll see if that's reality or not. And then it's back to a southwest flow in the longer term with another front approaching for right around May 5th or so, if that's correct. So at least what we're seeing here in terms of the overall pattern is weather systems that are going to be moving along from west to east and um, not really stalling out where you get some sort of serious blocking that develops and you wind up with a gloom and doom pattern for days at a time. This doesn't seem to want to do that. I'm just pulling up the upper air. We'll give it a little time to load up. And already in the long range from last week, Joe, it had this system going by now. It was supposed to go to Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and then drop back southward. And that's turning out not to be the case. Second time this spring we've seen the models try to do that, and it didn't happen. There is more troughing at the end of the week. You see this trough that swings in. That's your front for Friday. And that lifts up into Canada. You've got higher than normal pressures running from 40 north across Greenland and then all the way, I'm sorry, 40 west across the 40 west longitude all the way up to Greenland and into the Arctic. So the blockiness is a little bit further to the north. Gives you a negative NAO, but it actually allows a ridge to pop up in the east, which it does so around May 3rd and 4th, and then another trough, and on it goes. So I don't. The pattern doesn't look too shabby going into May. If you like warmer than normal temperatures, you're probably going to get your fair share of them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, interesting. We were talking just a few moments ago about backdoor weather fronts, And I don't know. Again, I've mentioned him on more than one occasion here. Rob Friedelwitz, who this guy is amazing, Joe. He has a website called New York City Weather Archive, and he talks about just about everything that you possibly could talk about. And I'm going to put maybe what I could do is I should send this directly to you, and then you could put it on the chat board where it can go directly as a link. He has done this incredible thing of detailing backdoor weather fronts going back into the late 1800s, backdoor weather fronts that have produced some very significant changes in terms of the temperature, in terms of showers and whatever. I mean, amazingly. Let me give just one incident here. March 19th, 1918, after a balmy start of 76 degrees was reached at 3 o'clock p.m., a record for that date that still stands, the wind shifted from the southwest to the northeast, and the temperature dropped like a rock and was half that reading, half of 76, by midnight. That's just like one example. And he's got like 40 or 50 different cases. So, if you ever want to look back at some famous conditions regarding backdoor fronts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this, Joe, on your Facebook account via Messenger, and then you could take that link and put it on the chat board.
Okay.
And it's just amazing. So it's Rob Friedowitz. Again, I don't know where he has the time to do all of this, but he researches like almost every different case. I think there was one case where he found in the 150 plus year record of Central Park, he found the greatest temperature drop in like an hour. I think it was something like 49 degrees. I mean, who does this?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, we remember.
But he does.
I recall. Maybe it was a few years ago. I recall a backdoor cold front that came through. I think it was in April, and we had 50-mile-an-hour winds. Wind gust of 50 miles an hour as the front went by. It was really about as it's probably one of the more extreme backdoor cold fronts I could recall. I don't know if you remember that. It was maybe in the last 3 or 4 years that happened.
Well, here you go. You just probably popped up on your messenger Facebook, and how backdoor cold fronts impact New York's springtime weather, because that's basically when you see backdoor front. I mean, it's not out of the question you could see one in the summer or the fall, or on even rare cases, I guess, the winter, but they usually come at this time of the year. And this is a list of like every major, and who knows, Joe, the one that you just mentioned might even be on Rob Friedelwitz's list from a couple of years ago. And I think if you're into this sort of thing with backdoor fronts, you'll find this most interesting. And I highly recommend going to his website. You'll be amazed. He also does a daily almanac, and I mean not just for a day in the past, but like 10 or 12 different cases of weather that have happened on any particular date. It's just absolutely amazing.
I just put the link up on the chat board, and I also even checked to see to make sure, because it's one of those, when you get it on Facebook, the URL, Facebook puts all this crap on it. But it worked. It wasn't. It was just long. It was just short enough. So it's on the chat board for everybody to take a look at. Very interesting here. Uh, April 19th, 1915. The temperature went from 47 to 91, and then plunged to 52 at midnight.
That incredible? Isn't that unbelievable? And again,
uh,
a lot of these are springtime events, but he does throw in some summer or even fall events as well. So,
I mean,
and
this
what
this
was
does
the
take this does take a ton of research here. I mean, you got to go through every season and every month and look at all the temperature odds. So I'm just looking here to see if he's got that backdoor I just mentioned. Uh, I mean, it could have been October 3rd. No, I don't think it was in October. I'm trying to think when it might have been. November 4th, 2017. Maybe it was May 20th, 2017. He's got that listed here. An early 3-day heat wave came to an end uh, last night after a shift in wind, but he doesn't mention the wind speeds. What struck me about this
Right.
backdoor, again, probably in the last 3 or 4 years, that we had 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts out of the thing as it went on by. All right, so let's do a little Briller Jeopardy and then get everybody going on doing whatever it is they're going to do on this Sunday. Even though it might be still miserable where you are, it might be improving. We'll see. So this is actually one I don't have the answers for, Joe. So I will be playing along, as everybody on the chat board should be playing along too. And the chairman, Scott Briller, is going to give me the answers 3 minutes after it starts. Okay. So anyway, it's
Okay.
according to Kiplinger, these are the current top 19 best-selling cereals in the United States.
Okay. And so now we have to figure out breakfast cereals.
Breakfast cereal. So I'm going to start off
All
with
right.
Cheerios, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say also Kellogg's Corn Flakes. And I'm also going to say Frosted Flakes.
Sugar frosted flakes. Well, they don't call them sugar frosted
Yeah,
flakes
Tony
anymore.
the Tiger. Kellogg's Frosted
Yes.
Flakes. So I've put my 3 down. I put 3 down here. So what do you think?
Well, how about Rice Krispies? Kellogg's Rice Krispies.
Rice Krispies. Okay.
Right.
Uh, Christina Pedia
What else?
says Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran.
Okay.
Yeah. How about now? They don't call them sugar pops anymore. What do they call them? Kellogg's Pops. That because you're not really allowed to use sugar anymore in the content or the in the marketing. Yeah.
I don't know if they call them just pops, but we could put it down. Pops.
Do they still make Count Chocula?
I think they do. David Carter says cinnamon squares.
Cinnamon squares. What do they call? Frosted mini wheats.
Frosted mini wheats. Well, you have to have. You know what? The only way you can eat shredded wheat of any kind is if it's frosted, because otherwise you're basically inhaling cardboard. Mini wheats. One of my favorites, Wheaties, which I always
Wheaties.
liked.
That's right. Right.
I'm looking.
There was
Dewey Doo says Rice Chex.
Well, then you have all the other checks. You have wheat checks, rye checks, and corn checks, right?
Yes. Jimmy 132 says corn pops. Maybe that's what those the sugar corn pops. Right. Dewey Doo says Lucky Charms.
That's right.
Okay, so let me see how many got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Thanks for hitting super chat, Scott. Most appreciated. Thank you. Let's see. David Schwartz says Fruity Pebbles and Fruit Loops.
Oh, right. What about Tricks? Tricks are for kids.
And sometimes for screwy rabbits. Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops, and Tricks. Now, as far as breakfast cereals is concerned, I rarely buy them anymore. I just happen to buy 2 boxes of Cheerios because I'm using them as treats for my dog, although I did actually have some Cheerios for breakfast the other day. And sometimes at night when I'm feeling snacky, I like to, I'll grab a bunch of Cheerios and just eat those rather than, chips or something, less flattering to my person. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We're up to 15.
Craig Carlberg brings up a good one. Life. Remember Life?
Oh, yeah. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Mikey, yeah.
Christina Pedia again with Honey Nut Cheerios. So I got those
I don't
down.
know. Well, I guess it is a different cereal than just regular Cheerios.
Frosted Lucky Charms is magically delicious. I forgot about that.
Do they, do they still have Kicks?
I always liked
Kicks,
Kicks. I was always a fan of Kicks. 1, 2, 3,
right?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we need two more here. Um,
Remember the one with the guy who did the Bing Crosby voice, Sugar Crisp?
well, I was gonna.
Can't get
Actually, I
enough of
was
that
just. I
Sugar
was. I
Crisp.
was just thinking about Sugar Crisp. I don't know if they call it Sugar Crisp now. Or they call it Golden
You
Crisp.
can't. Whatever.
Um, and Merkro says shredded wheat. I will put that. Why not? Let's call shredded wheat.
Alphabets.
Okay, alphabets. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we got 21 here. So the answers are, and they are on the board. Let's see. I think they're on the board. I got to check. All right. Let me see if he put them here. And hang on 1 second. This will be interesting to see what has changed. Scott is Reese's Pups is also another one. That's one I probably would not have gone to. Um, hang on. Trying to get access to these messages here. And we should have.
And by the way, there one particular cereal, shredded wheat, is affiliated with a very famous New York State landmark. If you're into shredded wheat, you know what it is.
Okay, so here are
And it's a hit.
the answers. All right, we'll start with number 19. Okay, number 19 is Kellogg's Corn Flakes. That used to be the number one,
Give me a
or number
break.
two. They're down to number 19. Whoa. Oh, here's
I can't believe that.
number 18, Apple Jacks.
New Kellogg's Apple Jacks.
Right.
Apple good for breakfast or snacks.
Uh,
Cinnamon toasty, apple tasty. A bowl a
Kellogg's.
day will keep the bullies away.
Oh, God. Number 17 is Captain Crunch. Forgot about Captain Crunch. Number 16 is Raisin Bran Crunch, which I've never heard of. So I guess it's a form of Captain Crunch. It's called Raisin Bran Crunch. Okay. Number 15 is Reese's Puffs, which was mentioned, I think. I saw it on the board. Reese's Puffs. Number 14 is Special K Red Berries. Number 14, Special K Red Berries. Right. Number 13 is Rice Krispies. Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies.
Rice Krispies.
Number 12 is regular Special K. Okay. Number 11 is Kellogg's Raisin. I assume it's Kellogg's Raisin Bran, because there's also Post Raisin Bran. So number 11 is Raisin Bran. Number 10 is Fruity Pebbles. Cocoa Pebbles did not make the list. Also, Cocoa Puffs. Forgot about Cocoa Puffs. I would have thought that would have been.
Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, no, that didn't.
I'm cooking for Cocoa Puffs.
Yes, exactly.
Cooking for Cocoa Puffs.
So number 10 was.
Well, you have to be of a certain age to remember these.
Number 10 was Fruity Pebbles. My dog is barking because another dog is barking. I don't know if you could hear that. Number 9 is Life. He likes it. Hey, Mikey. Life.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Frosted Mini Wheats. Number 7 is Fruit Loops. Number 6 is Lucky Charms. Number 5 is Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Okay. Number 4 is Honey Bunches of Oats. Number
Oh
three,
God,
yes, number three is Frosted Flakes, and
they're
General
great.
yeah, and General Mills has the two top cereals, both Cheerios variations. Number two is Honey Nut Cheerios, and number one is plain old Cheerios.
There you go.
I that
Number
was
one on the list. The Cheerios kid would enjoy that if you remember
Wheaties.
Cheerios kid.
Right, Wheaties didn't make it. None of the Chex products make it. Although Life Cereal is part of that same company, Quaker Oats. Um, I'm just looking through some of the other mentions here. Trick's not there. Kick's not there. Sugar Crisp,
Crispix.
Sugar Crisp not there. Any shredded wheat product, um, except for the frosted mini wheats, not there. Alphabet's not there. So all those cereals, a lot of those cereals were popular when we were younger, Joe. They are no longer. They're no longer among the top 20. The fickle consumer has gone a different path in some respects, not all.
See, even in cereals, there's the case of ageism,
Yeah,
except for
exactly.
Cheerios.
Exactly.
Cheerios has been around for forever, but all the others that we grew up with pretty much are out.
Yeah. All right, so let's call it a day here. Hope everybody's going to have a great Sunday, and Joe and I will see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern, at 7:30 Eastern time. Sorry about that. 7:30 Eastern time tomorrow night, as a new week begins and April winds down to its last few days. I don't know about you, but I've got a bird to feed and a dog to take care of, and also going to spend some time outdoors. So that's my plan for this afternoon.
Okay, well, I hope everybody enjoys their Sunday afternoon. Bill Rogers wants to know if I'm a cereal person or one who likes to have bacon and eggs. I don't eat eggs. In fact, I have not had eggs for breakfast in a good long time, very very long time. I do have occasionally a bowl of cereal, and I think Bill Rogers also asked Joe, have we ever seen mammatus clouds? I have seen, and I'm sure you have
I
too.
have,
And
yeah.
they come, a lot of people think that they come before heralding the arrival of severe weather. They don't. They usually appear after a massive thunderstorm passes on by. And basically, they look like cotton balls in the sky with kind of a grayish color, except if you see it at sunset, and then they have a kind of an orange yellow tint,
Hmm.
which really makes them stand out and really makes them look nice. But I've seen them on a few occasions, and as I said, I'm sure you have too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks again. See you tomorrow. And 7:30 is the starting.